No team has been a bigger tease in the 21st century than Carlton, and considering amongst all the Victorian teams, they have the second longest Premiership drought after the Saints. The Blues need to get going and get going quickly. Last year's fall apart, genuine meltdown, whatever you want to call it, has made Carlton fans wonder if their time is ever going to come. But after 3 games with 2 wins and a draw, is it finally time to ask the question if the Blues are genuine contenders? So just quickly in order, the Blues were awesome defensively in the draw against the Tigers. I thought their midfield had some moments, but they didn't really have a dominative performance, not to the eye test anyway. I wasn't at the game. Round 2 against Geelong, I was impressed for 110 of the 120 minutes. The Cats came back late, as good teams at the time to do, but the Blues hung on. Harry Mackay down the line was awesome. Lewis Young, I really need to talk about a little bit later on in the video, was fantastic in that last quarter as well. And regardless of what you think of the descent decision, and I'll touch on it quickly in just a second, the Blues should have won that game by plenty. Their inaccurate goal kicking, which like I said, we'll talk about a little bit later on in the video, almost costing them a win there. But what's been really impressive is the Blues now haven't lost in close games this year. Now, we know what happened last year in that second half of the year meltdown that cost the Blues a final spot, which if you aren't a Carlton fan, still brings a smile to your face. How did everyone love Collingwood for a week there? And since, obviously, under Craig McRae, they've been one of the more loved teams in the competition. But back to the Blues, they've been able to hang on. It's a start. I know that you might be thinking, well, they should beat GWS. They're GWS. I agree with you. However, in the circumstances that the Blues, yes, presented themselves, they still worked through it. This invalidation of positive performance in the AFL is really starting to get on my nerves. Now, whilst it's fun to come on and rag on some teams, I'm not usually one that rags on individual players because I look like this and they're playing a professional sport. Ragging on teams or even supporters at times can be a little bit of fun. But we also need to give credit where it's due. The Blues have been presented with 3 pretty good challenges over 3 weeks, and they didn't wilt in any of them. They definitely could have. They would have last year, like Michael Voss said in his round 1 presser, but they haven't. That is a tick. One of the main psychological barriers has been broken down, so it seems, early in the season. Now, just quickly on the dissent rule, because I know it is the hot topic at the moment. I do feel for Stephen Coniglio because not knowing how an umpire is going to feel when you gesticulate is really annoying. And the examples of McGovern later in the same game and Jack Higgins later on is going to cause a stir. I understand that. Something like holding the man is pretty universal. Now, umpires might not pay it because they miss it in terms of what they're seeing. But when they see it, they pay it. Not a lot of interpretation there. And it's the exact same reason why we don't like the holding the ball interpretations, because we're leaving it to opinion and not to eyesight. Because we see it, we assume or we take a guess, and then we go from there. And that's why we've got grey areas in the game. However, the Blues dominated that game in big parts for mine and deserve to win. So that's where I stand on that just quickly. The Blues aren't really mid-table for a lot of statistics. They're either really good or really bad. Let's start with the good. And as you can see, there are some awesome statistics that the Blues are ranking quite highly in. Starting with, of course, with contested marks. Now, we saw that with Harry Mackay in the draw against the Tigers, and we've seen it with guys like Charlie Curnow and their tools doing really well, although even Ed Curnow is out here taking contested marks, which is awesome. You look at rebound 50s, and I'll talk about their All-Australian lock-in defense in just a little bit, but they've been able to move the ball really well outside of their defensive 50. Third in contested ball, they're winning it at the contest, which is fantastic, and they are still getting their hands on the footy. It's not just a small sample size ranking 7th, and Carlton really aren't one of these Fremantle, Hawthorn, or West Coast of the opening fortnight in the terms of chipping it around in their back half. Whilst, yes, they are one of the better transition teams in the competition, and they do like switching the ball, they usually don't switch it 3 times in the same passage of play. They'll go out to the fat side and try to make something happen, or if they get closed off, which they did for a couple of times late in the Geelong game, they'll want to come back again, try to stretch the field. That's understandable. But their defenders aren't getting 35 disposals and 160 Supercoach points by effectively kicking it to each other. So 7th in disposals, not bad at all. Around the contest, they're doing beautifully. Kicking it to contest, they're doing it beautifully. Winning the contest, they're doing it beautifully. So what are they doing badly? Now, like we said, uncontested ball's not that big of a deal because they're not really chipping the ball around in their back half. But considering that they are 3rd in contested ball but 11th in clearances is something that's going to need to be addressed. Winning the ball at the contest around the ground is great. And yes, Sam Walsh is going to help with uncontested ball clearances and inside 50s, in my opinion. You do still have the reigning Brownlow medalist. You've still got a pretty good midfield core. You've still got Adam Chera there. Doherty's been playing up at the contest a little bit. 12th in inside 50s and marks inside 50s is a big problem. We'll talk about those big boys in just a second. But for mine, 16th in tackles, and they are a kind of low pressure rating team as well. The Blues is a bit of a problem. Now, with the ball, one of the best teams in the league. In dispute, one of the best teams in the league so far through 3 games. But without the footy, not the best start by the Blue Baggers. It is something they're going to need to address. Now, are these the numbers, how they're going to finish at the end of the year? No, of course not. But when we're assessing these things and trying to figure out who's really good, who's the bad, and who's the ugly, in a very unfair fixture, and in this case, a small sample size, these do matter as the Blues continue their charge towards breaking down now not only a finals barrier, but winning finals barriers and becoming that contender that at this point, their fans bloody deserve. Now, the inaccurate goal kicking is not so much Charlie, but Harry Mackay has been dreadful in his snaps around the corner this year. He's dropped punts from about 40, 45 out. You know, if you might be thinking, okay, is he an anti-Travis Cloke? Close to goal, he can nearly kick everything, but further out, he struggles a little bit. Not really, because the snaps around the corner are still not great, and his set shot looks so void of confidence. It's actually not funny at this point. It is something that he'll need to address. Charlie can't do it on his own, but the two can coexist together. Now, if you missed what Gary Lyon said on the couch about Mackay and Curnow potentially getting in each other's way a little bit, here's a quick recap.
Carlton on the weekend, right? So I watched them play. They've got a rooster problem.
Oh, rooster problem.
I went and I looked at these two big, and they're roosters. Those two blokes we just saw are bantams. So I spoke to my rooster mate. This is what he said. He says when you've got multiple roosters, there'll be the occasional squabble, and for most parts that's okay. Those squabbles can get dangerous if there's not enough space. If your birds are too crowded together, you may see serious problems.
Well, I like this.
I mean, come on, Gaz. You're better than that. They'll figure it out. And again, if they don't, which is genuinely possible, the Blues, the answer to the question of are they going to be a contender is going to be no. But Charlie did win a Coleman medal last year while Harry played nearly every game and was very good. Yes, they both probably need to either adopt the full forward, centre half forward, more traditional roles, if you will, with one of them playing deep, one of them coming up to the ball. Considering Harry's contested marking around the ground has been awesome, and his ability to go behind the ball against the Cats was top-notch, I would suggest he go to centre-half forward and Charlie to full. Or play you as two 30 metres out type forwards and split. They can't kick to a contest inside their 50 and both of them go for the mark. I would encourage Charlie to do it closer to goal. He took down the Cats, yes, albeit he didn't take too many contested marks in that game. But one-on-one against a fullback, you are going to be more worried about the athleticism of Charlie, in my opinion, than the height of Harry. Plus, good luck sending your second best defender to a guy who's won a Coleman medal, who's over 200 centimetres tall and can clearly work his way up the ground. I think they'll work through it, but considering the likes of their All-Australians, and in my opinion, Adam Sard is a lock for the All-Australian as it stands right now. He's been amazing, one of the better rebound 50 players in the competition, and a big reason why the Blues are number one in that statistic. And Nick Newman's ability to not only shut down his opponents, what he did on Toby Green was awesome, but his ability to stop Dusty's impact inside 50 did let him go a little bit up the ground. But that's fine. Carlton did an excellent job defensively. And Lewis Young is really helping out Jacob Wiedering here. And it's kind of like you look at teams that don't have a second tall forward. Lewis Young has kind of solved Carlton's centre-half back problem with Mitch McGovern playing a sort of intercept, stopper, defender type. They're both kind of hybrids, is the best way to put that. But, are the Blues contenders right now? In my opinion, they're the tier below. I have teams like Melbourne, Collingwood, And yes, I know Sydney got beaten on the weekend, but I've been really impressed with them before that. But I would have those 3 teams sort of in tier 1. But I think Carlton are just about next in line. Unless there's an obvious team that I'm missing, but I'm not really that impressed with Brisbane at the moment. Port definitely aren't there. Richmond definitely aren't there. And of course, all the other teams down there aren't really making an impact at all. St Kilda are definitely on that second tier towards the back end of it. Ross is doing a fantastic job. And I might do a video about the Saints if they go 4-0 when they beat the Suns. I wonder who I'll be tipping in that game. Looking forward to figuring that out. But you can catch those tips on TikTok. But for mine, Carlton aren't a contender just yet, but I think they're the closest team to becoming one. What do you think, guys? Comment below. Let me know what you think of the Blues in 2023. Carlton fans, non-Carlton fans, where can you see the Blues headed? The live stream that was going ahead tomorrow night has been pushed back due to scheduling conflicts. So unfortunately, it won't be going live on Thursday. However, I will be uploading some shorts, which you can catch on YouTube as well. And you can follow Daz Talks Footy on TikTok as well. Can't wait to announce some really fun things that are happening, guys. So don't stress, they are coming. Until next time, hope you enjoy your week. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. Goodbye.